So the final season is here then with our Pogon Youth Academy Challenge. Season 10 is upon us. And I don't really know what our objectives are going to be. Because when it comes to the Extraclasse, we win it quite often. We've only lost it 3 times out of 9. So we've won 2/3 so far. I'm hoping, that's not a word, hoping, there you go, that we are going to win our 7th title out of 10. That would be very good. And the Polish FA Cup is quite a similar story, to be honest. In fact, it's the same story, although we did win it 4 times in a row. The Polish Super Cup is kind of a bit of nothing, really. We win it most times. We've only lost it once when we've been in it, and that was a couple of seasons ago, so if we can win it again, that'll be good. And being completely honest, the Champions League is way too far out of our reach. Most of the time, we barely even qualify for the thing, so I can't see us trying to win anything in the Champions League, so realistically, what we need to do is just have another really good season in Polish football and make sure we get our final youth intake to be a good one. Not that we really control any of that. That is all down to Patrick Kluivert, who so far has done quite well. Anyway, on the 1st of July, we have released one player. We have released Piotr Zielinski. Not that one. He actually came through our youth intake a while ago, and in fact, I didn't even deem him good enough to be a starred player. And he actually doesn't look too bad, does he? He has played 11 times for us, but he has moved on. I say moved on, he's just left the club. And that is so far all the business that we have done. If we have a look at the finances, we've got £50 million to spend, and we're going to probably spend, I'm going to say £2 million of it. And I don't know what we're going to buy, but I'm going to say £2 million. And obviously, in the final season, we are looking in just 5 players from our youth intakes, but they must be no older than 21 years of age at this current time. I say this current time, maybe the start of September, not quite sure, but we will be looking in 5 players in the final season, and we are definitely going to be losing out on some very big names, but we'll get to that after September once the transfer window closes, which we will do right now. I said we were going to spend £3 million. In fact, we brought in about £3 million. Ernest Kolodziej is the first player to leave on a permanent deal. He's moved over to LKS Lodz. Yes, he is one of those starred players, but unfortunately, and I've said this quite a few times, I believe, Kolodziej is one of those players that he's stuck behind some really good players on that left-hand side, so he was never really going to make it, which is why he's gone on a free transfer as well. Another player to leave on a free transfer is Kasper Smolinski. That's his name. He's been here for a very, very long time. Played a lot of football as well, and I don't think we've really mentioned him. I think he comes off the bench quite a lot in that sort of defence midfield role that we play. He's all right, isn't he? For a player who we just literally did not mention at all for the last 9 seasons, Smolinski, I feel like this might have been a mistake. What definitely was a mistake, but we couldn't really do anything about it, is that Radoslav Zak has left the club. He is signed for Al Ettifaq over in Saudi Arabia for £2.9 or £2.6 million even. It's even worse. That was his minimum fee release. That was literally all we could get from him. I kept trying to offer him a new contract, get rid of the minimum fee release, but nope, they wouldn't do it. So he has moved over to Saudi Arabia, and he's now worth £35 to £50 million. We've lost a good one here. And we've lost a good one for £2.6 million. We've also loaned out 2 players as well. One going to Zaglebe, who is this man, who does have a star next to his name. So I think he might get good. He looks actually not too bad at the moment. He's actually playing in the Extraclasse. And then Saminski has also gone out on loan. He's dropped down a division to Jagiellonia and already getting a fair amount of game time as well. Speaking of game time, we are currently top of the Extraclasse, 7 wins out of 7 and a positive 23 goal difference. We have won the Polish Super Cup once again, beating Rakow 2-2 and then on penalties in the final. I say the final, there's literally no other matches. It's just a one-off game. We beat them on penalties. You can see their Champions League and Polish FA Cup, obviously, every season have not really started at the moment. We do qualify straight into the Champions League, so it is no feat for us to get into the Champions League group stage. We need to really be finishing. I want to finish 9th to 15th. That's kind of like a nice little area. We're just outside of the best teams, but we're also not the worst teams who are just somehow scraping by. Joining the list of players this season who are too old now to be considered part of our starting 11, Jan Kmishik is the first one. He scored 134 goals in 130 league appearances so far, but now he is 22 years of age, so he cannot be selected by us in our 5 locked-in players, which also means we can't really pick a striker, because he is quite clearly our best striker. And as we know, Krzysztof Mucha is too old. In fact, he's definitely too old now at 24, so he can't get locked in on the left-hand side. Mariusz Wolski, similar situation at 23, can't get locked in at centre-back, and in fact, last season where we didn't have him locked in, he only started 12 games, so maybe he's not really good enough. And finally, Piotr Goralski as well. Obviously, we know he is too old from last season, but at 23 years of age, we can't lock in an attacking midfielder, a left winger, and a striker. So what 5 players have we locked in for Season 10? We've locked in a right winger. It is Piotr Jasinski. He is still at the club, still playing. He's played 2 full seasons so far, and he's literally only 17. He will be turning 18 in a month's time, but Jasinski is going to be starting every single game for a 3rd year. Andrusko as well will keep his place in right back, starting for a 2nd successive season. I'm not convinced this is a good idea, but he is getting better. So maybe it's not too bad. They do think he's got 4-star potential ability. So Andrusko, I think he's kind of keeping his place purely because I don't want to lock in centre-backs. I don't want to lock in a left-back, a left winger, attacking midfielder or a striker. We kind of need to lock in a right-back. For his 2nd successive season, Tomas Matashuk has been locked in central defence. 17 years of age last year, played 32 times. Average rating of a 6.73, not too great, but he's already played 7 so far this season and scored 2 goals. He's getting pretty good. He's actually getting very good. Arguably, maybe he should be a defensive midfielder. He might be more suited to that role. But we are going to play him as a centre-back because we have Premek Goron. I'm going to call him Premek because I used to work with a person whose name was Premislaw, which is spelt the same way. I don't know if it's pronounced that at all. And he was called Premek. So we're going to call him Premek Goron. He is a defender and defensive midfielder. And I've decided you will be the defensive midfielder because I feel like the other guy's better as a centre-back. Although we'll stick with it. Goron, defensive midfielder. Matajuk, centre-back. There's one more player to talk about. And that is Masiai Ginter. Yeah, we're doing it. We're pulling the trigger. I think I said maybe season 5, 6, 7, one of those seasons that I might lock in a goalkeeper for season 10. And we are doing just that. Masiai Ginter is the man to play in goal for us. I don't think he's too bad. I don't think he's very good either. But we are going for it because I feel like we need to. We just need to do one season with a locked-in goalkeeper who's come through our youth intake. And season 10 is that time. So this is our starting 5, realistically. Ginter in goal, Andrusko, Matajuk, Goron, and Jasinski. Jasinski is injured for potentially 3 weeks, but I kind of had an unwritten rule to myself that if they were injured for a long time, I would not lock them in. I don't consider 3 weeks to be a long time. If it said months, then I would have probably taken him out of the starting 11 and forced myself to play someone else. But Jasinski, he's only out for up to 3 weeks, so that's kind of fine with me. This is what it looks like. And yeah, it's not good reading, but we have left the key places open. So we can play Kmishik up front. We can also play Goralski in attacking midfield. We can play Mucha or Brozazowski. We'll actually play Mucha there. Brozazowski would probably play there. Or maybe Baniak. We've got lots and lots of players. I mean, he's ridiculous. I bought him as a centre-back, by the way. He's an amazing defensive midfielder. If you look at this, that's not a terribly weak side. We've got some weak positions in goal predominantly, but that's still a pretty good side. Very briefly before we jump forward to the final youth intake of this save, we are, like I said earlier, top of the table with a positive 23 goal difference. We've won 5-0, we've won 5-1, 5-2, and another 5-0. Lots and lots of big scoring results there. The 5-2 against Legia is not ideal because we did concede twice, but we are keeping 3 clean sheets out of 7 with Ginter in goal. It's going to be a long old season, Masiai, but we are here to stay. We're now going to jump forward then to the 1st of April to the final youth intake of Patrick Kluivert and us in this save. See what he can manage to pull off. So the final intake is here, and we've got 5 players that we have starred. In fact, I don't sign most of these players. What I do is I get kind of the assistant manager or whoever to bring in the best ones. They've not brought in many at all. But what they have brought in, I've starred all of them because I think they might actually be quite good. We're going to start then in defensive midfield at Piotr Robakwicz. It's definitely not his name, is it? But he looks quite good mentally. So we're really going on there. Mentally, he's got some very good numbers. Defensively, when it comes to technical ability, first touch and technique is good. Everything else, not so much. Physically as well, not really much to sing home about. Is sing home about a term or a phrase? If it isn't, it is now. We also have in defence Daniel Nowak, who is a 5'10", 16-year-old centre-back and maybe defensive midfielder. He's kind of got a bit of everything, but also nothing at all. So what I mean, that just sounds weird, doesn't it? What I mean by that, physically, he's pretty average. Mentally, he's pretty average. Technically, he's pretty average. He just needs to work on everything, and he could turn into a half-decent player. Moving further up the field then, and also into the top talents, we have Natan Kapuluts, which is, again, probably not how it's pronounced at all. 15-year-old striker, maybe central midfielder. definitely not a central midfielder with his 7 passing, but then again, he's only got 11 finishing as well. I'm not really convinced on this one. Technically, he's arguably not terrible when you look at the shape as well. Technical and attacking is quite good. Also, physically, he's quite quick with his 11 acceleration. I say quite quick. 11 acceleration isn't quick, is it? He just looks quick compared to everything else. I'm not quite sure if this guy's any good. 2 players who I do think will be pretty good. Marcin Tlozek might be his name. He is a central midfielder, attacker midfielder, but as you can see there, he's also going to become a defensive midfielder sooner rather than later as well, which might not be the best position for him. I think he could be going places for 2 reasons. Number 1, he actually doesn't look too bad. Technically, he's got some nice high numbers. 13 finishing, 15 first touch, 15 passing, 13 technique. All very good numbers. Specifically for an Enganche as well is also quite nice. Mentally, also not particularly awful. The one thing that worries me is the 3 determination. But the other thing that says that he might be pretty good is his value is potentially £2.8 million, and he's only just turned 15. I say only just, he's actually going to turn 16 in a month and a half's time. But anyway, Marcin Tlozek, I think, will be a pretty good player. And somebody who I think will also be a pretty good player, although not as much when it comes to the value, is Filip Piscori. Go away, that thing. Get rid of it. Filip Piscori, who is a central midfielder, attacking midfielder. Aerially, he is absolutely horrendous, but everything else actually looks pretty good. Technically, good numbers there. Passing and technique, 15 and 13. Mentally, nice high numbers across the board. That 13 determination is massive compared to the 3 determination that the other guy had. And then, yeah, physically as well, not awful either. He's only 5'7", but then again, he's also only 15 years of age, so he's obviously got a bit of time to grow. I think players grow in Football Manager. I should know this after playing it for about 20-odd years. So that is our intake for our final season. I don't think Patrick Kluivert has done particularly badly. I don't think he's done amazing either. These 2 are the 2 to look out for, Tlozek and Piscori. Obviously, we are going to be finishing the simulation, technically, after Season 10, but we will be jumping forward into the future to see how well things have gone. Maybe we'll do 5 years, maybe 10 years, I'm not quite sure yet. Anyway, how are things going for our Pogon side in all the competitions then? In the Polish FA Cup, we have made it all the way so far to the semi-final, where we'll be playing against Zagreb, a team that I believe we should be able to beat comfortably. In the Champions League, we miss out by 1 point. 3 wins, a 7-2 against Sevilla, a 2-1 against Ajax, a 5-1 against Young Boys, but then 5 defeats. Big defeats as well against Bayern and Galatasaray, 2-1 against Chelsea, 3-1 against Monaco, and a 4-1 against PSV. So it does mean we do not make it through to the knockout rounds, and because it's the new format, we don't even drop down into like the Europa League or anything like that either. So yeah, Europe, it's not been fun, has it? Europe's not been fun for us. But I tell you what has been fun, our season so far. We have already qualified for the Conference League, the Europa Conference League that is, because we have won 23, drawn 3, and lost 0 all season. Kamishik has 29 goals in 26 league appearances. When you look at some of the scorelines there, we beat Zagreb 10-2. 10-2, the other Zagreb, Sosnowiec might be their name, not the KGHM Zagreb, the team that will be playing in the FA Cup semi-final, but we've scored 10 goals. Can we actually kind of dive in a bit deeper? We've scored 96. 10 against Wisla Plock, 10 against Zagreb as well, 9 against Lodz, Cracovia, Radomiak, 8 against Legia. We are scoring a lot of goals. The draws as well, 0-0s and a 1-1. And by the way, this is with playing Ginter in goal. Maciej Ginter is our locked-in goalkeeper. He's getting better. He's still not going to be amazing. I don't think he's ever going to be like a world-class goalkeeper, but the fact that he's kept 11 clean sheets, he might have been part of the problem why we didn't go well in Europe, but I think he's also contributing quite massively to why we're doing quite well in the Ekstraklasa. Also, Goron's ridiculous, right? He's absolutely ridiculous. He was not this good at the start of the season. He's amazing. Oh, and Matajuk's getting good as well. I'm liking some of these players that we've got in our starting 11. This is good reading. And Jasinski as well. He's really good. He's getting quicker. Why are you getting faster? Stop it. Learn to, I don't know, cross a ball. Anyway, we have been top of the league since the first kick of a ball, apparently, so it looks like we should be crowned champions of the Ekstraklasa once again. We're going to jump forward to the end of the season just to see how well things have gone for our Pogon side. And that will end our Youth Academy Challenge, at least for the 10 seasons we'll be in charge. So over the next 2 months, between April and now June, we have won every single game, and we have not drawn or lost any points. 31 wins out of 34, another, oh my word. We scored 17 goals against Zagreb Sosnowiec. and they still didn't get relegated. That's a stupid amount of goals in 2 games. We are also champions of the Polish FA Cup, and as we know, we got knocked out of the Champions League, and we did win the Polish Super Cup. So we've won the treble once again. I believe this might be the... I mean, I say like the 5th or 6th time, but normally we win the Super Cup, and then we don't win the league, because we were winning the league and then losing the league the next season. So maybe this isn't like the 3rd, like the 5th or 6th time we've won the treble. This might be like the 2nd or 3rd. So looking at the players then that we locked in, starting off in goal, Maciej Ginter, now 20 years of age. He is okay. He's not amazing. He's capped at under 20s level. He's getting better. He's kept 15 clean sheets, which is a lot of clean sheets, but I do wonder how much of that is actually down to the defence in front of him rather than him actually needing to do things. So what is SVT? Saves tipped. He's done 14 saves. Saves parried, he's done 20, and saves held, he's done 33. He's had to do what? I mean, I can't do the maths here in my head, but that's not a lot of saves. What's that? 50, 67 saves. He's done 67 saves in 34 matches. That's a save every other game, or 2 saves a game even. That makes more sense. Into right back, Andrusko has got a Poland under-21 cap. I don't know whether he had that before. He's done very well. 30 assists. That's a lot of assists. 23 of them coming in the league. I don't think he's very good. I just... Mentally, physically, yes, I think he's there. He's certainly a good player that way. But technically, he's got nothing to offer. He's got 12 tackling. He's got 10 crossing. And he's still picking up 30 assists a season. In fact, last season he got 7. This season he got 23 in the league. So, massive improvement. Shuffling across over into central defence, Tomasz Maciej, now 18 years of age, is ridiculous, isn't he? Genuinely, if I was to do a season 11... I'd move him up to defensive midfield because I think that's probably more his position, and maybe swap him and Goron over because I feel like Goron might be a better centre-back. Because when you look at Goron, he doesn't really have any technical ability, which I'm looking at this is probably going to be things like passing and such. I think he's a better centre-back. He is only 17 years of age, played 43 times, 12 goals and 6 assists for a 17-year-old in the Polish Ekstraklasa, but also 2 goals in the Champions League as well. Goron's done all right in his debut season. And finally, Piotr Jasinski on the right-hand side, now 18. I mean, he's arguably one of the elder statesmen of the locked-in players in our squad because he's 18, nearly soon-to-be-ish, maybe 19. He's very fast. He's a very fast young man, isn't he? Has he, so can we have a look? Like his acceleration, how do we even see this? Attributes. His acceleration in the space of 3 years has gone from 16 to 18. His pace, what's his pace gone from? His pace has gone from 14 to 16. So he's gone up 2 across everything. Can we just see all time? There we go. Oh, we can see this. I always forget this is a thing. Mentally, he's gone up some big numbers. 4 for decisions, 3 for vision, 3 for off the ball as well. Big numbers going up there. He's gone up 3 for dribbling. He's gone up 3 for heading, which means nothing because it's still only 5. 3 for technique as well. This is interesting. I should show this more. Which is hilarious because obviously this is probably the last time that we're actually going to see this. But Tomasz Maciej, we'll take a very quick look at him. Everything, absolutely everything is going up. Physically, lots of numbers, 2s, 3s and 4s going up. Mentally as well, 3s and 4s all over the place. A few 1s in there as well and a nothing in your determination. Also, your attributes, they all seem to be on the up. Not necessarily going up in number, but certainly going up anyway in general. What's this one? Dribbling. Dribbling's gone from 3 to a 7. Okay, I mean, it looks a lot bigger than what everything else does. So because we scored 133 goals in the Ekstraklasa, we've got a lot of players to talk about when it comes to goals and assists. Brozowski has got 10 goals and 18 assists in all competitions. Goron, we've mentioned, he has 12 goals and 6 assists in all competitions. Krzysztof Mucha obviously did get a lot of game time, 18 goals, 10 assists. Góralski playing just behind Kmicic up front, 19 goals and 15 assists. Jasinski scoring 28 goals and getting 18 assists. And he's not the top scorer, obviously. That will be Jan Kmicic with 48 goals and 9 assists. 38 in 32 league games. That's just ridiculous. And the fact that he got 9 assists as well was just kind of... It's quite funny in a way because it's like... We didn't need him to do that. Like, he scored enough goals to be able to win the league for us. But the fact that he's gone, you know what, I'll set some people up as well. Good lad, Jan. Couple of players as well to mention when it comes to assists that we haven't just had a look at. Grzegorz Baniak, one of them, obviously returned to the club from a little brief spell over in Italy, in Naples. 15 assists in all competitions, that's pretty good. And Andrusko is our top assister with 30 in all competitions, which is ridiculous. when you think this is how many players, so Mucha, Banyak, Goralski, Brozowski, Jasinski and Andrusko all getting double figures for assists, for goals, it's even more ridiculous, isn't it? As I've said, Brozowski, Goran, Mucha, Goralski, Jasinski and Kamishik, but then we've also got loads of other players getting multiple goals as well. I mean, this guy, Matus, has scored 6 goals, which doesn't sound like a lot, which isn't really, but he barely played. He's barely kicked a ball. Ahmed Laraki got some game time. I brought him in for depth, and he's got 6 goals and 5 assists. Fair play, lad. Player of the season, so this is sorting by average rating for the season, will be Jan Kamishik with a ridiculously high 7.68, 7.64 as well for, who was that, Goralski just underneath. So 2 players, outstanding performances for the season. The fact that we've managed to do this over the course of 10 years, we have turned Pogon from a kind of a mid-table side. They did get near the top a few seasons ago in real life, but then we've just turned them into penultimate. Permanent? I don't know. We've turned them into champions consistently. I think this is the 3rd season in a row that we are crowned champions of the Ekstraklasa. When we look at the legends, Kamishik is there as a legend for a player. I am there as a manager. Who else we've got? Goralski, Jasinski, Valkvist is also on that list. Anyone else? Gregors Baniak and Christoph Mucha make it there in the favoured personnel. Leo Borges as well, obviously a player who was with us, and Vahan at the start of the season, save even. We've got this guy as well, I can never say his name, a player that we brought into the club. Is Winter there? Because technically he doesn't count as ours, so he's not going to be starred. I don't think he is, which is kind of annoying because he's been a very good player as well. But we've turned Pogon from a mid-table to top half side in Polish football to probably the best team in Polish football. Realistically, if we were to do this over a longer period, 20, 25 seasons, our objective from this point would be to try and get further and further into the Champions League and eventually try and win that. But obviously, we're not going to do that. We have got one more video to do, though, in this Youth Academy Challenge save, which will be in the future, where we will take a look at some of these players just to see how well they have developed. Basically, anyone who has a star next to their name, we will take a look at. Some of them will be garbage.